chiller surging, but you can see it right here on the RLA. Also see it on the voltage on this drive for the chiller. Problem is we got to bring this one up or we're going to lose the load in this hospital. I don't want to run this thing like this, trust me. Sometimes you just got to take a deep one. Now it looks like it's calmed down. Hopefully you can hear me over this loud mechanical room. So we have these larger WSCs, and this is the first time I've seen this. Out of the condenser of the WSC, it'll go to a cooling tower, but this one is very interesting. It also goes out of the chillers, these larger ones, and then it brings that condenser water into these chillers, which if you looking at this one, scratching your head like what the heck's going on, yes, this does say condenser water supply, and yes, it is going into an evaporator. I know, doesn't seem like normal logic, but it makes sense. But as you can see here, the condenser side of this chiller is the building heat, so that's why this one, instead of being a WSC, is a TSC. This is a templifier. So they are using this to reject the heat into the building for heating, and the condensers are rejecting to be cooled down in the evap of this side. You can see that from the pressure too. 134A machine, nothing crazy, but look at these pressures. Yeah, this is, like I said, this is a trip. I don't see this, you can see. So, goes through that inline pump, ties in right here. Comes over into the header, which ties in with these chillers. So yeah, it's quite the trip. These are pretty big units here. You don't see this too often, where you see a chiller and it's got condenser water running into the evap and heating supply out of the condenser. Very unusual setup, but it makes sense. It makes sense. I mean, they got some good size towers out here too. Another day in HVAC land. You always learn something new. Always learn something new. So these are the VFDs for these chillers. And it's pretty big chiller here. Pretty big compressor. And that motor is, shoot, that thing's like 4 feet long. And yeah, you'd walk right past this. This is the drive. You can see, look, there's the cooling lines. I said these are big chillers. This one still has the oits. But they're big chillers. Approach is pretty high on this thing. She was surging there for a bit. Not the worst I've ever heard, but you can see the liquid line approach is pretty blasted high. So, yep, good times, amigos, good times. Anyways, yeah. This is the plant. We have three big boys over here, and then these two little guys over here. Like I said, these are just used for building heat. It's hilarious. They don't have any gas here, so they basically, in essence, are using these chillers as, how do I want to put it? Almost like a plate and frame heat exchanger. That's really about it. So they use the evaporator side just to cool down the condenser water a little bit, and then it sends it out to the tower. So the tower still gets used, but mainly they use these things for heat in the building. That is literally all they're used for, because I guess they have no gas here, and they didn't want to use propane. It's a hospital, so you can imagine the cost incurred on that would be rather large. So what do? You throw a freaking chiller in and turn it into your heater, which makes no sense to common sense would say that doesn't compute, but it does. And these ones have hot gas bypass, which you don't see that too often. Little rundown of this thing. You've got your oil sump, oil cooler, discharge check valve, discharge pressure. This is how we do on our vanes with oil, with SA and SB, and that's what moves the vanes. And then there's a piston inside of here, and this piston moves the vanes, but then it also covers the impeller, so it covers the diffuser. So you can have like a variable diffuser, and it works in conjunction with the guide vanes. This would be liquid injection. This is just the middle one. This thing's tiny. It's a trip, huh? Using a chiller to heat a building. Doesn't sound like conventional wisdom, but it works. This one's obviously not running. You can see the pressures that are just standing there. This sucker's running. Oh, it was pretty warm. Anyway, I better do something. They don't pay me to walk around and be Vanna White, and I need to get to work.